Hey everyone, Mortgage Nerd here. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about these articles that are coming out. Forbes came out with an article. Let's see what it says. Housing market in a free fall as new construction plummets. Here's when reset could cool prices. Just by that title, it's so sensationalized. It's so much to remember. Activate the amygdala. Get the fear part of your brain stimulated and saying, I'm going to read this article because now I'm scared about this free fall, plummeting. What they don't realize is the problem with housing starts slowing, which remember, housing starts is the start. Housing completions is when they're completed. It takes 12 to 24 months, depending on the builder, more likely 18 to 24 months. So a year and a half to 2 years from when a housing started for it to be finished. And then here you go, now it can be sold or closed on, because they usually sell them in advance. They usually get a contract on them in advance. So we need more housing completions because we're at a deficit right now. There's not enough new houses to meet the demand of first-time home buyers and new households being formed because millennials are the largest portion of our population. I've been talking about this for over 3 years. There's videos of me in 2019 and more recently as well, many videos talking about birth rates and demand and how many buildings have been built and all this stuff. So now Forbes is talking about this very irresponsibly. They give all these stats and all these points, but then let's look at what they say. So they go through all this stuff, and then finally, towards the end of these bullet points here, there's one bright spot in the report, just one. Home completions climbed to the highest level since 2007, which should help home price increases slow down from about 20% to single digits by the end of next year. Yes. The completions, more completions help slow it down. But by there being less housing starts, it means that a year and a half, 2 years from now, we're going to have the same problem we've been having these last 2 years. And when we come out of this recession and rates come down and then there's not enough new houses, we're going to be in the same boat where values are skyrocketing because we're having this huge supply and demand issue continuing. So the free fall, the plummeting, it's all BS sensationalization. Let's look at a good reporter, some responsible reporting. This is from NPR. The U.S. needs more homes, but builders may be slowing construction. So they go into all of this as well. And here's where something I've been talking about. The U.S. is about 4 million homes short of what is needed to keep up with demand, according to Freddie Mac. After the housing bubble burst, 2008, many builders went out of business and construction slowed. The lack of supply has been pushing home prices higher in recent years. Yes, the lack of supply. There should be incentives for more supply. Builders, we know you're afraid of what's going on. Here's a tax break. Don't tell certain politicians that because they're going to say, oh, the rich shouldn't get more tax breaks. But if they incentivize builders to build more, it'll help the economy overall because we'll have a greater supply. Instead, they're giving these incentives to buyers. Why do buyers need more incentives? The demand is sky high. We don't need more buyer incentives. We need seller incentives. Why don't you give tax breaks to the sellers of investment properties so they could put more investment properties on the market and then more first-time home buyers can buy them? Something like that would help the supply and demand issues as opposed to raising interest rates sky high, stagnating the market, and doing all this stuff that's only going to hurt a lot of people in the short term. And then it's going to come right back in the next year or two because they're not really going after the core problems. But I think the biggest point of this is the dichotomy, the two different approaches that we see from the media. Forbes is supposedly responsible and they're sensationalizing. NPR being more even keel with their reporting. I don't like everything NPR releases, but this is pretty good. So, Mortgage Nerd out.